Hi. It's been a while since I did a video, and I thought I'd do one this morning and just share some things. So hopefully I can just sort of talk and share. I was with Ed, and we got this book on Aesop's fables, and I wanted to read a couple of things and share some insights that I had. You just show you some of the pictures. But, I didn't know anything about Aesop as a person, and as I'm reading through these stories, I find that was a slave. You probably know these things. Let me take a moment because I want to read that page to you. Hopefully it won't take a lot of time. It says, Dear reader, I was hooked by Aesop's fables when I was a child. I knew a lot of the animals in his tales because I grew up in South Africa. We lived down the road from the city zoo, but it was more exciting to spot lions, snakes, and eagles out in the bush. We had cunning jackals rather than Aesop's foxes, and grumpy warthogs instead of boars. But really, they were very much the same animals. Aesop's fables often sent a shiver through me, and I loved them. Who was Aesop? The grown-ups and my book said that he was a wise slave who lived over 2,500 years ago in Greece. So I thought of him as Greek. I didn't pick up other clues, such as, why does Aesop have African animals in so many of his fables? Most of his fables have a moral, and African folk tales often show us the meaning of a proverb. Aesop's fables aren't like fairy tales from Europe with happy ever after endings. They are much more like traditional African stories. Life is tough, and things can end badly for anyone who doesn't watch out or use their wits. Nowadays, I think that Aesop was African. He was probably captured somewhere in North Africa and forced to go to Greece. His name sounds like the old Greek word for a black African, Aesop. Some say that he was so wise and witty that his master freed him and that he became an advisor to the king. We don't really know, but of one thing we are sure. While his masters are long forgotten, Aesop's name and fables live on. People still hear them, love them, and want to tell them again. And my mind is swimming because, as we've been reading through this book, every page has like this, they're very short, and every page has, of course, moral. Not everyone is fooled by an old trick. The lion is crying because he's hurt and he wants the jackal to come into the den, but of course, he means to eat the jackal, but the jackal won't go in. And some of them are positive and some of them are terrible. Like there's one where this jackal falls into a crevice, and let me see if I can find it. The jackal and the klipspringer. And here's the little klipspringer, if you can see him. It's a cute little mountain antelope. And the jackal tells the antelope, hey, there's some lovely fresh water down in this ditch. And the jack springer, of course, he's naive, and he's like, oh, okay, I'll come down there and drink some water. But the jackal is actually stuck in the ditch. And so the klipspringer jumps down into the crevice, and he gets stuck in there too. Well, the jackal has the plan, well, I'll climb over you, and then I'll pull you out. But, of course, he doesn't pull the klipspringer out and leaves him in the ditch. So then the moral is to look before you leap. And so as I was thinking of this Aesop or Ethiop, like in more realistic terms, in more human terms, I guess as children we have sort of romantic ideas about things. And Ethiop, maybe he was really a slave, and he was like, the American slaves, taken to Greece, away from his home. But I think how marvelous that as a human being, he used his experience to share this creativity, the wisdom. And So I sort of was applying that, for centuries. We've really been slaves. Like, are we slaves? Am I a slave? Are we slaves to the flesh? In the Bible, when Christ said, "You are slaves," they would say, they were offended. They said, "We are free. We've never been slaves to any man." And Christ said, "He who sins is a slave of sin." And so these are confusing issues for us. But anyway, so it all sort of goes hand in hand with the confusion in my mind. And I was thinking, about the email I sent, and I felt like that I can't leave Ed. I love him in a way, but not in a not really Christian way. It's more like we're together in a time, and we're nice to each other. More than that, he's very sweet. And then I feel conflicted because, my heart really belongs to you. It has belonged to you, and I feel like, is this sort of the teeter-totter where I can't do it anymore? Or the thought is that it's more about being human, more about we're slaves here, or something like we're not able to keep our promises. There's no power to do the thing that we had hoped to do. And I feel sort of no strength, like all that can be in my mind is just to be here where I am and to be grateful for what it is I have in front of me today. And it's almost like I just cannot think farther than that, because there is pain, there is worry. As long as I stay in this sort of small frame of reference of just waking up and being grateful for what it is I have right in front of me, then I feel really very happy. It's just don't think about anything else, So you can comment on that if you like, but maybe we can just keep talking about it. And also I brought you out to the backyard because I wanted to show you the before picture. Because while we're staying here at Teresa's house rather cheaply, we only give her like $250 a month. But over the winter, the backyard's gotten rather overgrown, and all the potted plants are sort of dead. There's poop everywhere. They got bunnies, so we have a little bunny enclosure over there. Anyways, as sort of a gift to her while she's in Texas, I asked Ed if we could come out and clean it up out here. Sort of cut away all the dead, and so we're going to try and clean up her house for her, and then of course she might sell it because of, like I shared with you about the foreclosure. But I guess we'll just see from one day to the next. So, okay. That's about all. I can't tear away and go love you, but I don't know how to say that. Maybe it just remains to be seen what it is that's in God's head, because just something's very wrong here. Okay, I'll see you. Thanks for watching. Love you, bye.